Hey guys, so today I wanted to do something a little bit different. In the past, this channel, or at least my newest content, has been about reviewing games. Now I'm still going to be doing game stuff, and that's what today is about. But I just kind of wanted to broaden the net a little bit. Normally I focus on reviewing one game, spending 10 minutes talking about it, throwing together a video. It takes hours. I mean, probably 20 hours. And that's a lot of time to be spending on each video for a 10-minute video. So today I just wanted to talk about what I've been up to for the past month, I guess, up until probably the start of 2019. And also talking a little bit about the back end of 2018, because that covers one of the games I started the year with, which is Atlas. Now, for those of you that don't know, Atlas is made by the same people that made Ark Survival Evolve, and it launched with a lot of problems. Now, for those of you that do remember Ark Survival Evolved, that was pretty much the same way. It launched not at an expensive price, so it got a lot of people in, a lot of promise. And for the most part, I think Ark Survival Evolved delivered on that promise, although it did take a few years. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I put well over 700 hours into Ark Survival Evolved, but then I do like dinosaurs, so dinosaurs and survival games, these things really work for me. This one, Atlas, is more about pirates. Now, there was a lot of controversy because a lot of people are saying that it was supposed to just be a pirate DLC for Ark, but because people have already paid their season passes, they couldn't get any money out of people, so they decided to launch it as a fresh game. Now, I don't know how much of that is just speculation and how much has any truth to it, but for the most part, I feel that Atlas stands perfectly fine on its own, as far as the concept goes. It is more about pirates. I don't know how they would manage to fit that in with the whole dinosaur dynamic, so I don't know. I personally think that it was always intended to be a separate thing, but that is about as far as I will go in terms of defending it. So there were a lot of issues to begin with the game. I mean, they said that they would launch it at a certain time and date. They delayed that by a few days. They then delayed it again by another few days. They then had a countdown timer. And when that countdown timer finished, they released a new trailer, and then delayed it by another couple of days again. And obviously that annoyed quite a few people. Now, after that point, and it finally did get its release, a lot of people tried to log in at once. It was a huge a game to be released on Twitch. I'm pretty sure it was at the top of the list for a day at least. And once people logged in, they made their characters and realized that the network latency and everything to do with the networks was terrible. People couldn't move. They were rubber banding literally back to where they started from. I mean, this isn't just rubber banding a bit and still getting where you wanted to go. People were literally not able to move. So they'd make their characters, they'd log in, find out they couldn't do anything, they'd log out. Because the way Atlas works, your character doesn't disappear. So there were just naked bodies everywhere, which made the situation worse for everybody that tried to log in afterwards. Now, those issues did eventually get fixed a couple of days later. They opened up more islands for people to spawn on, and that kind of worked for a while. And to be honest, there was a lot of justified criticism. people had issues with the game on a number of levels. The FPS wasn't great for anybody that played it. Anyone with anything less than an average gaming PC couldn't play at all. Even those with fairly decent PCs struggled. And it also depended on where your character was. Now, I kind of got around this and managed to find an island with my guild that didn't have too many people on, not too many people on that server, and for a few days we did fine. FPS at around about 25 to 30, which I appreciate is terrible for me, and terrible for most people, but some people did have it better, but probably nobody getting a consistent 60. But it was playable. Now, after a short time on the island, it became evident that you either ally with people and join up with them, or you get raided and lose all of your stuff. Now, we resisted this for about a week, and eventually we did get raided, and decided to merge into another guild. There was plenty of guild drama at the time. That's always fun. But when we merged with the other guild, and moved to a different island, more issues presented themselves in terms of the gameplay, namely for those that don't have a super stellar PC. When you have more players in the area, you have more buildings, more items, more things to render, the frame rate drops even further. So I was at a stage where I was getting 10, 15 FPS, and that for me is just unplayable, and that for a lot of people is unplayable. So generally the game itself, you can play on your own, and hope nobody comes near you, or you can be secure and be in a bigger group and not be able to play at all. Now again, those with better PCs, now I'm talking for better PCs, a decent processor and probably at least a 1070 graphics card. Now that is, you're talking 300 quid for a graphics card, and a similar amount for a CPU, and that's quite a big entry point for a lot of people. Now I appreciate there's a lot of people that do have that, but there's a hell of a lot more that can't quite afford that kind of system, and I feel it does lock them out of the game. Now with Arc, eventually people's systems caught up, and that might be the same for Atlas, but as it stands, I can't really play Atlas anymore because my system just isn't good enough. I mean, I suppose I could start out on my own. I could join excuse me, I could join a private server, but I just don't really feel like starting over again. Maybe I'll check it out again when it's better, but from about the first week in January, I just stopped playing that now. I actually got a new SSD, because previously I had the game on a hybrid and decided to see if that was any better, and it wasn't. So I just kind of gave up. I think I might go back to it in the future, and I did actually put 70 plus hours into it, because when we were on that smaller island with fewer players, it was fine. Well, as fine as you can get with my system, but it's just when we joined the bigger one, there just wasn't much point in playing anymore. If you can't get a decent frame rate, and you have to turn the settings down so that everything looks like a game from the year 2000. There's just not much point in playing anymore. So that's how I started off my year. Then I moved on to a few other games, really, but not really finding anything that's taken up my time since. I've picked up a few new games recently. Octodad, The Deadliest Catch. That's a fun little game that you can play in co-op locally. Only 2 or 3 hours long, but there's some laughs there. I picked up Assassin's Creed Unity recently in the Chinese New Year sale, and I've played a couple of hours in that. Seems okay. My frame rate in that isn't the greatest either, and I know that Assassin's Creed Unity has always had issues with performance, and I generally can turn my settings down a bit and get close to 60. But it's annoying that a game that's 5 years old is kind of still having issues on my system, which, okay, to be fair, my system is about 5 years old, but it would be nice if that performed better. I picked up South Park, The Fractured Butthole. Again, only a couple of hours into that one. And I also picked up a game called When Ski Lifts Go Wrong. Now this was one I was considering doing a review video on. It's by Curve Digital. They are the same people that did Human Fall Flat. And for owners of Human Fall Flat, there was a discount. I think something like 25% off. So I picked that up. It's not too bad. It's similar to the bridge building game that I got and played on Twitch about a year ago now. Essentially what you do is you try and build a ski lift over obstacles. Now you have to build the towers to attach the ski lift to. And there's another portion of the game where you are playing as the skier themselves, so you have to build ski ramps. It's quite fun. I've only put sort of 2 or 3 hours into it so far. It's probably one that I will keep going back to. Excuse me. So in terms of other games that I've been playing since the start of the year, I've actually been playing quite a bit of FIFA 19. Now, I know that's immediately going to turn off a lot of people that don't really care about football games, sports ball, but I was surprised to find out that I've actually got about 180 hours into it, and I only picked it up in sort of November. Now, there are a lot of issues with FIFA 19. I generally only play for the career mode. A lot of people pick it up and play for their Ultimate Team mode, which is just full of pay-to-win garbage. Never really been into that myself. But the career mode is pretty much the same as it has been for the last 2 years, and part of me is annoyed that I spend the money on the game and not much has changed. But I've still been having fun with it. I like the newest kits and players, and the updated stadiums, and I guess small graphical changes. And for me, that's worth sort of the 25 quid that I eventually managed to get it for. I mean, I feel like I get the time out of it. I just feel a bit ripped off for paying for the same game every year. So it would be really nice if EA Sports decided to update the career mode and perhaps move it closer to what we see from Football Manager. There are definitely a lot of areas which can be improved. and there are still bugs in the game that have been there in career mode for years, literally years, and they just use the same code over and over again and, try out the same game. It's frustrating, and yet I still buy it because I'm an idiot. But no, it is still a decent game if you enjoy football games, and I know a lot of you don't, but maybe some of you do. I played a bit of Jackbox 1 and 3 when I had my cousins over, which is always fun to play the kind of local party games. Also played a bit of Overcooked 2 because they actually released a few maps for free for Christmas, and they also have released a few more for Chinese New Year, which is great. As I said in my Overcooked 2 review, it would be nice if they mixed it up with paid DLC and free DLC, and that's exactly what they've done. Now, the free DLC is about a third of the size of, each free DLC is about a third of the size of the paid DLC, and that's fine because it's free, and you get 5 or 6 new levels with each free DLC, and it's just generally a great game, and it's good to see that they are still supporting it, and I hope they continue to do so. There's no reason for them to bring out an Overcooked 3, because they can just add more and more to what they have already. I think there's a bit of criticism that they make things too complex. I think doing things fast and efficiently is fun and working together, but if you make it too complex, then you've just got a new thing to learn every time. A new layout every time, that's fine, but a new mechanic for most of the maps, that's just frustrating. So in other local co-op games, I've been playing a bit of It's Quiz Time from a team called Snapfingerclick, who I've met a couple of times, and I spend a lot of time watching their Twitch streams. It's Quiz Time still holds up really well. It is it's a quiz game that you play. It's on Steam, and you've got an app for your phone. And I think what I like about it is that the game remembers you every time you log in, and remembers your past victories, and that's quite nice that there's a personal touch. I think the big thing for me is that it's developed by a British team, and it's focused on British questions. So I've done a lot of quiz things before. I mentioned Jackbox earlier. And a lot of the questions are about American pop culture, and that's not really something I know about. I don't know about American daytime TV, because I'm not American and I don't watch it. But I know about the British stuff, so, as much as I don't really watch things like it, questions about EastEnders and Coronation Street are the kind of things me and the people around me might know. So it's actually quite nice to have a quiz game where you don't all sit and look at each other and think, oh, who the hell are they even talking about with this question? So definitely recommend It's Quiz Time if you are in the UK. I'm still 13th in the world on their leaderboard for top score for the solo play on there as well, which I'm kind of proud about, but also I think maybe it needs more attention, that game. So I've been playing a bit of, well, I actually played through Portal again, the first one. I don't really know why. I just felt like I wanted to play a short, concise, story-driven puzzle game. So I played through that. Still holds up well. Played Total War: Thrones of Britannia. Now that one came out a year or two ago now. And I feel just like the heart and soul of that game just isn't really there. It does everything mechanically that you would hope it does. I mean, you know, it's a Total War game, so it's not without issues. And I'm big into Vikings. I mean, the Vikings TV show on Amazon Prime is really great, and this game is set after the death of well, I don't want to give any spoilers, but somebody in Vikings. So it's a good time period, and it's one that I enjoy, and being British, it should be one that I really relate to, and I definitely feel that I have more of an affinity with it rather than their new Chinese one that they're bringing out. And I've put, you know, quite a few hours in. I think 50 plus hours into it, and I just feel like there's something missing. It doesn't have the feeling of a proper Total War game. Now that might be because it might even be designed that way. I mean, it was released for a lot less than the other ones. I think only sort of 20-25 quid. And normally you'd be paying double that for a Total War game. Total War, Warhammer, those games are amazing. I've only played the first one. But every faction that you choose plays differently. I spent a lot of time playing with the Dwarven faction, and you know, it's just so good. And I just don't get the same feeling from Thrones of Britannia, unfortunately. But I am determined to get to the end of a campaign someday. I just feel like I keep restarting it and hoping it's got good. And it just really hasn't. I think one of the things that does bug me about it is they have this DLC, which is just £2, it's nothing really. But it actually adds better combat animations and blood and gore as well. And I think I would quite like to have a bit of blood splattered on my battlefield as I'm playing. I think it would just add to it somehow. Now, another game that I've been playing recently is Metro Last Light, the Redux version, because the new Metro Exodus is coming out very soon. And I feel like I need to get through that before the new one comes out. I mean, it's going to be a long time before I play the new one because I don't feel like paying for it at full price. But I feel like I've got to get through Last Light. And so far it's been good. 4 or 6 hours in it so far. It's kind of, you know, makes you jump in some places. It's pretty good. It's a Metro game, and it holds up well. It's been quite a long time since it was released. They did do, as I mentioned, their Redux version, which is slightly updated. But it still holds up, and I do want to get it done before really spoiling myself too much on watching Exodus videos. So a couple more games that I've been playing, Oxygen Not Included, picked that up for a day. I used to play it a lot, and figured I could just jump straight back into it, but a lot has changed in that game. A lot of good things. I mean, they've definitely improved things, and the patches that they've brought in has brought a lot more content. But it's hard to get back into and get up and running again, because it's just so complex. And the last game I've got on my list here that I have been playing is Kerbal Space Program, Space Frogs. Really enjoy that game. I'm a big fan of space, as you no doubt saw from the start of my Catastronauts video. So I do like building rockets and blasting them off into space. Generally don't get out of Kerbin's orbit. Moon, Minmus, that's fine. Anything outside of that, the other planets, maybe once or twice I've landed on those. I don't think I've ever got anybody back from there, but I tend to, when I start a new career mode, so you've got to build up the science and you've got to build up the money as well, and that can take a lot of time. It's a little bit of a grind that I could skip if I chose a different playing mode, but I kind of enjoy it. I like starting off and struggling to get to orbit to begin with. I like going to the different places around the planet in a plane that I've cobbled together and barely flies. It struggles to land, usually having to use parachutes and just ending the mission. Very little chance that it's going to take off again, because usually I've knocked a wing off or you know, or a tail or something on the way down. But really enjoy Kerbal Space Program, and this month I passed 365 hours in the game, and that's just the time that is tracked on Steam. I know that I did pick it up before getting it on Steam, and so some of that time isn't counted. So definitely a lot of time I've put into that game and enjoyed pretty much every minute of it. It's a game that I think originally came out in the early 2010s, and it's just so good. And if you like space, if you like a challenge, then definitely recommend it. So that's pretty much what I've been up to for the first part of 2019. I just wanted to also mention the giveaways that are going on over at Epic Game Store. Now, Epic's Game Store is a new storefront. They originally just had Fortnite and maybe a couple of other things on their platform, but now they're actually selling games as well. Now, I haven't bought anything on there, but every 2 weeks they do give away a new free game. And there's been some good stuff on there. Subnautica was on there to begin with. Super Meat Boy, I believe. What Remains of Edith Finch, I think, was on there as well recently. I think there was the Jackbox Party Pack. So, you know, it's not bad games. They're giving away decent stuff. So do check that out. All you need is an Epic Games Store account. I don't even think you need to download the client. You can just do it through that website. In terms of other free stuff, I mean, if you've got Amazon Prime, be sure to check out Twitch Prime every month. There's usually 4 or 5 games being given away on there. And also, I think one place people don't check is Reddit. And if you go on r/game deals, generally it's a great place to check and keep an eye on to see if there are any freebies that come up, or just decent game deals. I'm usually checking that, you know, once a day, because there's a lot of time limited deals on there. Things like Humble Store or GOG, they tend to give away games fairly regularly as well. There's a lot of competition right now for digital game storefronts. And I think that is about as much as I have to say right now. So, thank you very much for watching. It was a bit of an update on what I've been up to, and we'll see how this video does. So yeah, thanks very much. Have a great day, everyone. See you again soon.